So, hello and welcome to another build video for the Necromancer Healer build. I haven't been doing any videos for the last 5 or 6 months or so because I was doing my engineering degree. I've finally finished it, hallelujah. And yeah, anyway, and I've been starting to get more into doing videos again because it does consume a lot of time. Anyway, I will go over the different parts of the build, like armor sets, Munderstone, buff food, vampire, yes, no. Whether I think it's good, we can discuss that later. Skills, of course, and champion points, and after that I'll show you the difference between the old consoles, like the Xbox One S generation and the new Xbox Series X, because I actually got the new console. And yeah, and just to give you like a rough idea how much of a difference in performance you can expect if you decide to buy the new console. Spoiler alert, it is absolutely it'll blow your mind. Anyway, this is the potion that I use. It is a Max Magicka anti-stun and spell crit potion because critical values are very important for healers. A, I'm a Khajiit, and B, crit heals don't get nerfed by crit resistance and stuff like that. So actually, I shouldn't say anything because Zenimax will get stupid ideas of introducing something like that. Anyway, so this is my buff food. I use the vampire buff food, either the corrupting Bloody Mara or the purified Bloody Mara. As for armor sets on weapons, I use on the front bar I use a restoration staff. It's and on the back bar I use a sword and shield. The restoration staff should be in precise, preferably, because that'll give you some nice critical values. The back bar should be defending, and the shield in divines, ideally, so that it will boost the thief Munderstone, so you have a bit more crit on your back bar to compensate for the lack of precise. And anyway, on the jewelry, we use the jewelry of Gossamer as well, and we use the arcane trait. You can use the triad trait, but honestly, I'm just too lazy to change traits. I might actually change it to like something I haven't hashed it out what I need to do yet. So anyway, also the jewelry, you need to enchant it with 1 piece rare recovery and 2 pieces spell power to bump up the quality of your heals. And yeah, on the main body, we wear the Mending set. The Mending set is a set that you can get from the Arthurian Archive. It is a pain to farm. You have my condolences getting this. It is a absolute pain unless you have a luck of an Irishman. We use the well-fitted traits to reduce the cost of the dodge rolls. I usually like having 2 or 3, preferably 3 well-fitted and the rest impenetrable, just so that we can roll out of those negates quickly without getting killed. And not sacrificing, because you only have like 13-14k stamina. Despite being a Khajiit, we get like 1k extra, so that's like 13k. You can put a few points into it if you want to get it to 15k, but honestly, I don't feel the need. Anyway, as a monster set, we use the Earthgore arm sets in heavy and medium, so that you get the 5-1-1 setup, which will increase your max health and max magicka bar. I think I have like 36k mag on the setup. It's actually quite nice. The Earthgore is something you can get from, I think, Bloodforge. It's actually quite an easy dungeon. You shouldn't have any problems doing it. So anyway, attribute-wise, we put all into Magicka naturally. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Skills. So let's see. Skill-wise, attribute points. Yeah, there you can see again 64. If we activate everything, we should have like a crit ratio around 50%. And 40% on the back bar, 40 to 45% on the back bar. That should give you some really nice crit chances on your crit heals. The Earthgore is actually is one of my favorite PvP sets because it'll cleanse like fields. If you're standing in a negate or something, you get hit hard. It has the possibility of cleansing the negate away. You can use the Troll King as an alternate, as a cheap 6-gate alternative if you don't have Troll King. We use the Vampire and we try to keep that at stage 4. You do get a lot more fire damage and there's a lot more penalties since the last round of nerfs. But it is still worth it, especially since I do like using Mist Form quite often. Just because you don't really have a method of getting major expedition on this character apart from using Mist Form, so I do use Mist Form quite often. And apart from that, you shouldn't have any problem sustaining this heavy attack once in a while. As a healer, you can afford to do that. The heals are really, really good in the setup. They're actually insane. Well, you'll see that in the later videos. Well, the first skill that we use is, of course, Healing Springs. Every healer uses it, pretty much. The next skill that we use is Renewed Undeath. It is basically like a healing springs for the Necromancer, only that it purges 3 status effects away if you use it on a corpse, which makes it perfectly suited for PvP. Because because this means you can use that skill essentially every 5 seconds at least, because you have the healing ghost producing corpses. That plus your armor buff, which also produces a corpse. That essentially means that you have a passive purge without even having to slot it, like the Templar. So basically passively purging your group, which is amazing. Then the next skill is Rapid Regeneration, I think it's called. Was it? Radiating Regeneration, they changed the name of it, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's probably one of the strongest HOTS in the game at the moment. There's like an 18k tool. It takes for like 2 or 3k on most people in PvP, so that's sweet. The next thing, we use the Intensive Mender. That is the healing ghost that I keep talking about. It does crit for over 10k in PvP against most targets. It is actually kind of insane. It is a pain to keep up because it only lasts 5 seconds, but if you keep it up in intensive situations, it's like an automatic breath of life, which you can use to, yeah, and basically, because the burst heal of the Necromancer isn't so good, so the ghost kind of adds to that. Then we have the Healing Coil, and then of course Barrier as an ultimate. The Reviving, we use the Reviving Wolf for the extra hot. It's not strong, it's like 600 per second extra healing, but you know, stuff like that does add up. Plus it's easy to keep your Gaussian proc for that. On the back bar, we use Mist Form. Here you can see the passives. I think the best passives is the one where, of course, the reduced cost, sprint cost, which is nice for disengaging. If your group gets wiped, you can basically let yourself fade into the darkness way easier versus being a normal mortal. Then the next skill is called Blood Sacrifice. It's like essentially like a Breath of Life, but only its downside is it only heals another target. It heals another target in the full value though, but it only works if you have a corpse nearby. So you can see the more corpses you have around, the better the Necro Healer works. Which is essentially why it's so good especially in organized groups where you have lots of corpses coming your way. So yeah, the next skill that's a flex spot. You can use all kinds of skills. I use using Graveyard. You can use the Magicka spell power buff. Then you can use the healing orbs, Bone Shield, which I probably wouldn't recommend Bone Shield. It does cost a shit on the standard, but yeah, the Siege Shield is also an option. This is a flex spot. It's used on what you want. You can even use Necrotic Potency, get some fat ultimate regen. That's what my personal favorite is if I can't help it. Usually I like using the Graveyard though if you're in a coordinated group. Then yeah, the last skill is a Remote Totem. I decided to use this morph because you can use it for attack and for defense. If your group is attacking, you can support them by dumping this in the enemy group, and if you're on defense, you can do that by dumping it on a unit and blocking, which is especially helpful if you're getting attacked by multiple people. You can just drop that down, wait till they get, and basically use that to create some space between you and the enemy, and get some DDs between you and the people trying to focus you down. So yeah, that's the skill. As on the back bar, we use the Res Alt of the Necromancer, which is an extremely powerful ability. Honestly, I think that 360 ultimate is not expensive enough. They should make that shit cost 500. It is a game changer. In some fights, when you think you're about to lose, and 4 people to go down, you can just smack that result on them and get 4 people back up and get back 20k Magicka. Anyway, so time and points. Here you can see 100 on the blessed, 100 on the critical values. And that's the most important ones. The other ones you can allocate as you want. This is the red tree. If you want to see this in slow, just basically pause it. Honestly, I don't want to read all of this. This is breaking my mouth. I'm not used to talking so much. Anyway, so yeah, that's the green tree. You can see Arcanist. We use that to get our recovery values up, and that's basically it as of now. And yeah, this is a light armor healer build. You're not the tankiest build on Earth, so I mean, don't expect to tank 3 or 4 people for a longer period of time, but it is very well capable of actually taking a few very hard blows. You should have like around 30k health in PvP, around 36k mag, and around 13.5 to 14k stamina. So anyways, as for now, first I wanted to thank you guys for watching, and essentially, if this is the where the build V ends, and where we discuss the new Xbox consoles. Here you can see an example of how PvP on console was for the old consoles. Basically a laggy piece of shit. And that's being quite nice. You can see the frame rates are absolutely horrible. It is nigh impossible to toss out good heals as a healer. Essentially, this is basically pressing buttons and hoping that it somehow works. And yeah, that's what you basically had to work with. It is absolutely horrible. So yeah. And despite what we did, you can manage despite that, but it wasn't really good. Maybe some other people had a good time, but performance has been constantly deteriorating over the last month or so on the old consoles. You're having like constant crashes. So anyway, yeah, PvP, the performance was absolutely horrible. And then I got myself the new console, the Series X, and the difference is, holy shit. Oh yeah, by the way, quick spoiler, the Empress was in that group, just saying. And yeah, he did get farmed. So yeah, anyway. So the difference is mind-boggling. You have a lot of more excess, basically, calculating capacity. Because it has so much more performance, it can actually... You usually crash like maybe once per evening, not more. And that's actually a very good standard. They usually crash more. At least where I hang around with my shitty connection. So anyway, so yeah, that's the old performance, and soon you can see how the new console performs. Yeah, you can see this is the difference. Basically, same. You have a shit ton of people, enemies behind us, but you can see everything runs smooth as silk. Full frames during the whole time. It's easy to heal, easy to keep up your abilities. No lag. I'm actually having no lag whatsoever. I'm crashing occasionally, like once every 1 or 2 days. That's usually my average. And then if I crash, usually everyone crashes as well. But yeah, you can see how smooth the frames are right at this point. It really does make a huge difference. I don't know what kind of a CPU or things they packed into this new console, but holy shit. Speaking of which, that's VDD, and 3, 2, 1, yep, there they are. And because of that, also, I enjoy playing my healer more, because it is nothing more frustrating than hammering out your heals and nothing arriving because half your abilities won't fire. That is extremely frustrating, for healers and for DPSs. So yeah, that's essentially what you can expect from the new console. You can expect way better frames in PvP, so less of the stuttering, which many console players will be accustomed to. Way less crashes, but you will definitely still have crashes, because the crashes it's in the system, it's in the way the servers work, how they disconnect. It's not, at this point, it's not the power of the console. It does help though, so I can actually recommend it. It is extremely exciting. Also, the 4K does look pretty cool. The 4K the resolution does look pretty cool when you're fighting. So, and this is the next fight. This was versus the Yellow Guild, I think. I think it's something that in Obtuitas, yeah. So yeah, we kind of nicked the hammer reward in a 8-man. And of course, I think one guy had crashed or something. Because the crashes are pretty bad at the moment. I hope they fix it, because it's driving many people absolutely crazy. And oh yeah, the side mark, you can see. I don't know what people play the Necromancer more. It is a very strong healer for PvP. With the Rezzing ult and the AoE burst heal, it is a very potent healer. You can literally hammer out. You can see the Necro AoEs. It is critting for like 9 to 10k per usage, and it's cleansing all status effects. And it's cleansing away status effects. So that combo is quite strong, especially if you stack it up with another Necro healer. I think it probably is the best PvP healer at the moment, provided you have good DPSs. If your DPSs are garbage and you don't get any corpses, you won't feel the power rush of the Necromancer healer. So yeah, Facet, yes, the new console does help with the ESO performance. It doesn't solve all the problems though. There still are some lingering issues, especially with the crashes. But yeah, the hope is that they will adapt the ESO, maybe bring out a version which utilizes the full power of the new console. Because this is basically still the old one. In any case, I hope you liked the video. Peace out.